Hi, it's Susan Dunlop, and welcome to episode 4 of Susan Dunlop's Coffee and Contemplation with Women. Today we are going to step off planet Australia and head over to California to speak with Jeannine Rashidi. Jeannine and I met in Kerala in India in 2017. We were both experiencing a journey to the roots of Ayurveda, and it was with 30 other pretty cool women. Jeannine and I got thrown together as the icebreaker session. We had to learn a little bit about each other and tell the rest of the crew who we were. And then from there, we travelled across Kerala, and we had a pretty amazing journey up to the tops of mountains and valleys and edges of roads that you wouldn't want to drive on. So yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience that we shared. Welcome, Jeannine.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's lovely to see you again.
Lovely to see you too.
So I'll just give you a little bit of an update on, or a background on Jeannine before we get started. Jeannine is a mum, and she's a grandmother and a wife. Jeannine has 2 biological children and 2 bonus children. She loves to call them bonuses rather than step, and I agree. Currently, Jeannine has 1 grandson and 2 granddaughters due in July, and they're only 13 days apart, so she's about to get very busy grandmothering. Jeannine is the owner and founder of Goodbye Tension, which is a health and wellness business designed to help women understand their tension, physically, mentally, emotionally, and digestively. Jeannine's idea is about self-empowerment and education, and I think for 18 years now, she can correct me if I'm wrong, but for 18 years now has worked with women and children, and that involves counselling. And that was one thing that stood out to me with Jeannine, the work that she was doing with the women and children. When I first met her in India, it intrigued me, so I learned a little bit more about that over there. So yeah, I think what we might do is actually just kick off, because obviously this is about listening to Jeannine's story, not listening to me talk. So Jeannine, I was thinking, given the state of the world as at this week and the things that have changed really since this weekend, where you are in California, you were telling me earlier that you're already in what they call shelter in place. Just tell me, how's that affecting you personally, your family? What's it feel like, and has it affected your business?
Yes, so I am in the Alameda County. My business is in Santa Clara County, and those 2 counties are in shelter in place. So what that means is we can only go out for essential items, grocery store, doctor's appointments. We're allowed to go out for a walk, but have to keep a 6-foot distance. How has that affected our family? Well, my daughter lives in the other city that's also in a shelter in place. So we are doing a lot of FaceTime calls. We have not come together and seen each other yet. We're trying to just see how is this all going to, pan out. But we've done our part as far as making sure that we have what we need at home. In regards to what is it like out there, when we first got the news, I went to pick up some dry cleaning, knowing that the dry cleaners were going to close. So I wanted to make sure we had what we needed. And there was such a state of panic. There were so many cars on the road. People were not being very aware because they were in a state of panic and fear. And so there were 3 car accidents that happened within a 2-mile radius, just in that short errand that I ran. And if you were out in it and you were not able to maintain your own awareness of your breath, it was very easy to fall into the frenzy of it all. So I'd like to just add that piece: wherever your breath goes, the mind follows. So if you can stay calm, follow your breath. When there's a storm happening, the calmest place to be is in the eye of the storm, which means you need to stay nice and calm with nice big deep breaths while the storm is happening around you.
Wow.
So we just take it one day at a time here, and we just see, what's going to develop and what we need to do.
Okay. And in terms of your business, you're a health
Oh,
and wellness business.
yes.
Are you being impacted in that way, or how does your business operate?
So my business has been impacted, so there is no hands-on work. So the specialized body treatments that I was doing for women and children, I can no longer do them. However, the health and wellness counseling I can do online, and I can also, a big part of the body work was showing people how to relieve their own tension with different self-treatment tools. So that also can be done online using, various things that you can find at home. But again, we're just in the beginning of the stage of this shelter in place. So this week, a lot of people are trying to find their groove. And by next week, hopefully people will be more open to doing the online for, the self-treatment aspect. Of course, the health and wellness piece, I was already doing a lot of online. So now it's just a matter of people getting used to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was that enforced that you couldn't do that type of work anymore, or did you choose not to do that?
No, that was enforced. So part of shelter in place is any non-essential business. And then also we received, all of us who are licensed through the state of California as massage therapists or body workers, we were told that we needed to cease all hands-on work, not only for our safety, but for everyone else's safety. And I have to say, the way things are developing, that was a very smart decision.
Yeah, no, it's interesting,
So,
isn't it? That people at the moment,
yeah,
I think in Australia, are talking more in terms of breath and catching um, the virus that way. But yeah, I hadn't actually personally
yeah,
considered the idea that massage treatments and all of those would be back
yeah.
in question. Yeah.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, I actually did find out before I made the decision and before we were told that we had to. A client texted me and she said, my office building is in the same building where 5 confirmed cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed. And so that just told me, that means she had a possibility of, being in a place of possibly contracting it. And then she came to me. So let's just play it safe.
Yeah.
Obviously things are spreading rather rapidly.
And I think one thing that's been I've noticed too, like back in the wars, people actually, I remember there's been quotes stated that people actually find new ways to do business or to go about making an income, and that's what I've been trying to be conscious of with my clients, to say, well, just get out of your head, but really understand how can you actually serve your clients in a different way. So
Yes.
yeah, you've already been doing that, but you're
Yeah.
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 Wow.
Yeah. It's an interesting time because um, we've all gotten caught up in our busyness and now here we are at home.
Mm,
So, what might be going on in one's mind or heart, now they have an opportunity to look at it.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So a lot of people, especially like, what the services you offer, there's a great opportunity to help people right now because they're in a place to come back to themselves, but they might not quite know how to navigate through that, how to do
Mm.
that. Um, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. As I said, and it's just all of us in ourselves need to just be really conscious, of that feeling of anxiety. And I feel like, as I said, you and I were chatting the other day, but we were talking about the fight and flight. That
Yeah.
response. Is that something that you're aware of? If people are feeling exhausted or stressed,
Well, yes.
that what's happening?
A fight or flight it's a very real thing.
Mm,
I actually, my own personal journey has come through a lot of trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, which includes a lot of fight or flight. So again, if one can stay aware of their breath, that is the most powerful tool that you have. And once you get the breath under control, if the mind is still going, then we need to start questioning those thoughts to see whether or not, is that thought actually serving you? Is there a different perspective? And you can't always do that when you're in the midst of a fight or flight experience. That's why it's good to find a practitioner that can help you. But a lot of people are in that place right now, which is
Mm.
why we're seeing that people are frantically getting to the grocery store. They're getting into careless car accidents. There's hoarding because there's this feeling of scarcity, survival, and that's the essence of fight or flight. You know, there's this feeling of I might die,
Yeah.
I might not live. So, you know,
Yeah. The
yeah,
controls on the outside, not from the inside. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Well, how about we have a little look at your journey, as you just intimated there, like from your early life. What did you want to be when you were young, and how did that all roll out for you?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I wanted to be in some sort of profession that allowed me to relieve other people's pain and suffering. And my only understanding of that was to be a doctor at the time. I was not introduced to anything alternative. So that said, I wanted to be a doctor. And through my journey, being that I had parents who had their own dysfunction and were addicts, and uh, because of that situation, I experienced a lot of different types of abuse. And that's why I wanted to be in a profession to help others relieve their pain and suffering, because I was continually in search of it myself. So, I did very well in school. I was a straight A student, but by the time I got into high school, there were no classes to help me navigate what was going on at home. And as a result, I made a decision that I was going to run away from home. And so I did. I left school and I ran away from home, and I experienced what it was like to literally live on the street with nothing.
Oh wow.
Um, and I have to say, that was one of the most amazing experiences that I had. Even my childhood, I believe that everything that I've experienced has made me who I am today. So I don't feel like I'm a victim, and I don't, um, you know, accuse anybody of being an abuser, because they both need each other. It's two sides of the same coin. So,
Oh, the victim and abuser.
victim and
Yeah.
abuser. An abuser needs a victim, and a victim needs an
Right.
abuser. So,
Yeah.
that said, I believe that one can choose, once they've done enough of the inner work, of course, to let those people off the hook, which means you're let off the hook as well. But you still have to be self responsible for the dysfunction you picked up along the way. Um, and we all have it in some way, shape, or form. Um, so anyway, I, left home and had that experience, and that's where I met my uh, first husband. And what I learned there was, if you don't deal with your quote unquote mommy daddy issues, you end up falling right back into it with a spouse or partner. And of course, I was only 15 when I left home, but that's what happened.
Wow.
And so I, had two children in that marriage, and left after 10 years. And again, that was basically a very similar situation as what it was like growing up, same types of abuse, things like that. And I started questioning, how do you break this cycle? Because it certainly wasn't my intention to go back into a situation like that, but that's what happened.
Yeah. And
And
you're
I
so
wanted,
young too. You know.
right,
Yeah.
and who teaches you these things? If my
Yeah.
only frame of reference is my upbringing, that's all I had to go on. So the blessing I see from my upbringing is that it taught me what not to do. But still, there was a lot of that unconscious and subconscious forces, because I had not dealt with
Yeah.
the issues yet. And that's what was driving my decisions. So I left that abusive situation with um, my first husband, and my two daughters and we left, and basically had to start over. Well, it was through that journey of needing to start over and realizing I want to break the cycle of dysfunction. How do I do that? And so we immediately got into counseling, and I needed to figure out how can I make money and be the type of parent that I'd prefer to be, which is to be able to take them to school, this, that, and the other. I already had a marketing background, so I decided to get a massage certification and start my own practice. I had never had a massage before, so it just seemed like this seems logical. This could work. So that's why I got into it. Well, turns out I was actually really good at it. So that was my true introduction into the holistic side of things. And I just built upon it from there. Before I ever graduated, I was able to open up my own practice. And then I just kept searching for different modalities besides, traditional massage. What happens when your trauma comes up? Because as I was going through my own healing, receiving massages in school, my trauma was coming up. So I was like, this is a big part of it. So, I started seeking out certifications on how to help people with that. Not only did I have my own personal experience, which has truly helped me along the way. I believe that anyone who crosses my path to come for some sort of help or guidance, that it's meant to be, and I have the tools to help them. So I went, searching for all these different modalities, got certified in all these different things, and just kept adding more tools to my toolbox. And now here I am today, and I'm currently working on my doctorate in Ayurveda, and which is the science and study of life. Originated over 5,000 years ago, and basically it's food and lifestyle, our medicine, and how we can use traditional spices and herbs, different lifestyle changes, understanding how nature works in order to stay healthy and balanced. And those concepts are universal when it comes to dealing with our emotional issues, our mental issues. And so here I am today, having gone through all of that. The deeper education came once the children were grown, and now they're having kids of their own. And we still talk about the commitment of breaking the cycle of dysfunction. And as they're having their own children, we continue to have those conversations because it's not an easy thing, but it's certainly an admirable thing to continue to just be aware, don't sweep things under the rug. And in that way, we can come out of dark situations and be the shining light, So the way I see it is this was just kind of my training into life. And as a result, I can help many people because of it. So in that way, I'm very grateful.
And so that, as you said, like there was the PTSD side of it. And I from what I've learned around trauma is that it does resurface. Like even if you are dealing with an abuse from childhood, you think you may have resolved it by talking to someone, there's something else will trigger another part of it, because a lot of people who've actually experienced trauma don't release all the information in the first series. So so is that what you're sort of talking about when you sort of say the darkness to light? Does that darkness still come back to you from when you're in?
Yes, it's just at a different level. So the way I see it, it's almost like we're peeling apart an onion, and an onion has so many different layers. So depending on what's going on, depending on what the trigger is, something will come up. What has shifted now is that it's no longer a full-blown taking me into a place of I'm stuck in a frame of time that's past. It's just more of an awareness of, oh, I'm having this feeling, I'm having a reaction, or maybe it shows up in my dreams. And it's clear that it's pointing to, I have more work to do on this particular subject. So I do believe at some point that it does get better, because there are many subjects that it has resolved. And I also believe that the psyche, as it gets stronger, that's when some things will come up that maybe the psyche wasn't strong enough to deal with in the past. So you definitely want to take it a gentle approach. If something's coming up, you deal with what's coming up. And if the mind is strong enough, or you have a practitioner that feels confident enough to guide you through it, then,
Yeah, you
hold
can
on
go.
for the ride, because who you will be afterwards will be completely different. And it is kind of a messy process, you know?
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I totally get that.
yeah.
um, with so yes, you're a grandma and you're 42. So how's that feel? How do you feel in terms of your age? You know, being 40 now.
Well, I remember when I was younger and 40 sounded like it was really old. And now that I'm in my 40s, I think it's best, uh, the best age group thus far. It was way better than 30, certainly way better than 20 and earlier.
Yeah,
Um, Now that said, um, my body doesn't quite do what it used to do, so I do have to get used to that. I'm learning to honor it and listen to it better versus forcing it.
yeah,
But something happens in your 40s where you no longer care what other people are thinking. There's no longer this worry about so much image, you know, am I fat, am I skinny, what does my skin look like, you know, hair and all of that.
yeah,
You just kind of come to a place of I'm okay with me.
yeah.
And it feels so much better because then you can go out and interact, and some of these things that used to come up, they just don't.
No,
It's really no big deal. So it feels a lot more chill, and not so much mental, you
yeah,
know, that's going on, not
yeah.
so much insecurity. Um, yeah, so I'm loving 40s,
Oh, cool. Hey,
which
what
is
that reminds
inspiring because I can't wait till 50. Like, does it keep getting better? I don't know. I have to
50's
ask.
great.
Yeah, see?
No, I think we're all finding that every 10 years you're like, that's all right. I mean,
Right.
I love the
Yeah.
40s too. Actually, I remember the 40s was like such a powerful.
Yeah.
I know I'm okay. I've got it together type of
Right.
decade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still had things to learn. So yeah,
Yes.
50s, I've learned more.
Yeah.
That was all good. What I will do, because as everyone knows, like this is my first lot of podcasts. There is something I will actually get you to come back and talk about as a whole separate
Sure.
section at some stage. That whole journey you took around the whole weight, about you
Yes.
weren't measuring your weight and stuff. I think people would be really intrigued to understand that because I was intrigued by that story. So you might
I
hold
would be
that.
glad to come back for that.
Yeah, it was very, very
Yeah.
enlightening. So yeah,
Yeah.
I was grateful you shared that little bit of the story. Now let's talk. Coffee and contemplation also is about women finding creativity in their life. So how about we go into a little bit about that? What do you have? What did you love when you were a child that you maybe have brought forward through to you being a grown up now?
Well, as a kid, I loved playing with my dolls or teddy bears. They were very much alive for me. Tea parties, going on adventures, things like that. And I have continued that into my adult years. So before I tell you what that is, I first have to share where I believe this came through my genetic line, and that is through my grandmother, who's still alive. She's 90 years old. And when we would go and visit her, she would tell us about these two gnomes who were Rude Rupert and Sassy Sam. And they were always getting into mischief. So the moment we came to Grandma's house, she would go right into how mischievous these two gnomes had been, what they've gotten themselves into, where they are now, that we needed to keep an eye out because at any given time they could get out from wherever she put them and end up somewhere else. And this was always a very exciting thing for me because I could see um, how alive they were through the storytelling process. So a few years back, my bonus daughter, she had gifted me a gnome from Germany, which is where she's from. And immediately the storytelling skills just started.
Oh wow!
And I'll I'll introduce you to one of them. So this little
Oh, this
guy,
is
let me
so
bring him a little
cute.
closer. So he's the original, the OG.
Oh, he's so
So this is
tiny.
Alfred. Yes, he's little.
Yeah.
So I named him Alfred because he's all furry and red. The second one that came to be a year later, again, a gift from my bonus daughter, is this little guy.
Oh, look at the blue hat on. I'll just take a
And
photo.
his name is Waddle Wink because he's always waddling around, winking and flirting with the ladies.
Ah.
So this has developed into, there's a corner of our home where there's a whole gnome world. There's a gnome coffee shop, there's a gnome pirate ship, there's a spring garden, there's a castle. And what I like to do is create little stories, and then I throw them up on our family album that's in the cloud so everybody can see it through their digital devices of all the different things that the gnomes are doing. And sometimes they're mischievous, sometimes they're trying to find enlightenment, sometimes they're trying to climb the Himalayas, sometimes they're, out with their girlfriends. It just depends.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. In this day and age, your online business may also involve some creativity and storytelling.
That is a really great idea. Things are already sparking now. Thank you, Susan.
That's all right. I think I might move next door to you as well, but anyway.
You should.
We can play over the fence. It'll be all right.
That's right. That's right. 6-foot distance and all.
Hi, how's your gnome going? And I'll hold my guinea pig up and it'll be all good.
Yeah.
Now we've got a few minutes left. So how about, would you like to talk about anything, the most important messages you've ever got that you think you could actually share with someone else, another woman? Is there any messages from what you've learned, you've experienced? What's something people could go, wow, I've taken that message away today?
Well, what I'd like to say is that as a female, we do a lot of believing and listening to other people's beliefs of who we should be, how we should be. And I really feel that the most important message is to listen to yourself. But that kind of seems, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but it's almost like you need to teach someone how to listen to themselves because there's so much outside noise. So mothers, if you have daughters, first you've got to work on yourself. Then you can truly help your kids. But the message would be, how do you learn to listen to that inner voice? And you've got to clear up some of the noise first that's within yourself. You've got to question your beliefs. The work of Byron Katie is actually really good for that. And then next would be, always find the positivity in every situation, because no matter what's going on, there is a blessing there. You just may not be able to see it when you're in it. But if you could somehow come out and be more of an observer of your situation, you might be able to see that something is brewing here. Something is, carving away, or trying to polish that diamond that is you. And oftentimes that comes through some of our harder experiences. And that's what has inspired me, is my own life journey and really feeling like I haven't heard of anything or seen anything yet that could not be seen as a blessing. It's just how you look at it.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say.
What were you saying? I think I heard it on one of your videos on Facebook. You were talking about to find light. Is that what that's about? Find the light in the darkness. Is that the same?
Yes, that's the same thing. So right now, a lot of people see that, we obviously have this very serious virus that's going around. Many could see this as a curse. And what I'm saying is, how do we find the blessing in what seems like a curse? How do we find the light in moments of what feels like darkness? So a simple example is, many of us cannot go out to work. Many of us cannot go out to our coffee shops, restaurants, all of those things that kept us busy. And now we have this blessing of, we're at home. We have time to be with ourselves. It's time to practice listening to that inner voice, which means you're going to have to clean out some of the noise first in order to be able to do that. But to be able to find the blessing in everything, the light in situations where, it just seems dark, that is a huge aspect that is what keeps me going, is being able to see that, with this virus that's going on, there's a very high probability that I won't be able to be with one of my daughters when she's giving birth, or either of them, depending on the hospital situations.
Yeah.
And I was really looking forward to that. They're really looking forward to that. But the positivity I can find in this is, if it means that we're all going to be healthier, then I'm going to let go of my attachment of that situation and just be grateful that a child will come into this world, and hopefully, we'll have the health and wellness. So it's all your perceptions. Your perceptions determine your entire state of being. So question your perceptions. If you are struggling, start questioning.
Yeah.
Is it true? How do you know it's true? Who would you be without that thought? And this is Byron Katie's work. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you that's a nice way to end on. Okay, we could talk all day as usual. So
we could.
We'll bounce all over the country on a rickety bus, but
yeah.
I'll just finish with just two things, as we've been doing each week. What would be your favorite quote?
Oh, yes. So my favorite quote actually comes from Albert Einstein, and that is, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So, and this is true for, if you notice the same theme keeps going on in your life and you're like, why does this keep happening to me? That's what he's talking about as well. Yeah. And that's an opportunity to look at, well, what can you do to change it? Because obviously it's not working.
And as you're just saying, maybe now's the time to look at that.
Now is definitely the time.
And also, what's your favorite song?
So there is a powerful Sanskrit mantra that destroys fear. I'm going to see if I can actually pronounce it. So this particular singer that is amazing in her Sanskrit pronunciation, her YouTube channel is Gaia Sanskrit. And this is Shatanga Yur Mantraha from Markandeya Purana.
Ah, and that obviously shows us that you actually...
That obviously was Sanskrit.
Yes. And you teach Sanskrit too, don't you, now?
Yes, so I co-teach the beginning Sanskrit at Kerala Ayurveda Academy. So learning how to pronounce the sounds, identify the letters, bringing letters together to form words.
You did that very well just then. That was lovely.
Thank you.
So and is that a song? As in the woman will be singing that, or?
She actually, so what she does is she sings she has an English part that she sings, and then she goes into the Sanskrit part. So the part I really enjoy is more of the Sanskrit mantra part, because there's a lot of power in those sounds, and it just resonates more for me.
Oh, cool. Well, maybe what I might get you to do is send me the link to it, and I can pop that on the end of the, there's like an information section on each of the podcasts, so I can actually pop that on there. So if anyone wants to find it, they can. So that sounds good. A good way to share it. I'll also, if you wouldn't mind, I might grab your link, because if what you've just shared with someone is actually going to help some other person. As you said, like, it's that whole, you help one woman and it blossoms out to help the community. It just might be something, we're all attached now online all around the world. So I'd be happy to.
That's true. So, first you have to work on yourself.
Yeah.
And once you work on yourself, then you will take that into your family life, and your family will become healthier. And then that family will go out into the community. The community will become more healthy, right now at a 6-foot distance, don't forget. And then, of course, it goes out into the world. And that's how we start creating change, is one person at a time. But first it starts with you.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? So healing can be just as contagious as a virus, and that's what I would like to see.
Let's go with that one. That's a
Yeah.
nice way to end on. So really thank you for talking to me, Jeannine. I know it's this afternoon there and it's early here. So
Yep.
I'm hoping to get this up on Friday. And and yes, we'll have more chats as the year rolls on. So I've been getting feedback from the people who've listened to other podcasts so far that they've just taken a snippet and it's made a difference to them, just in one way or another. Even dads,
Yeah.
that I've heard a dad has actually
Great.
changed the way he's addressed something. I thought, that's, again, it's just if it can help one person, that's the point of
That's
this.
right.
Thank
Definitely.
you so
Yeah.
much for contributing your story.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love to you.
All right. Take care. Love to you too.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.